Welcome to Remnant 101 at the City on a Hill Church. I'm Associate Pastor Benji Lalayan. God's remnant embraces being tested. A couple of verses I do want to read first. We got James chapter 1, verses 2 and 3, which says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience." And then one more, 2 Corinthians 13, verse 5, which says, "Examine yourselves as to whether you are in the faith. Prove yourselves." You can substitute the word test in there. "Do you not know yourselves that Jesus Christ is in you, unless indeed you are disqualified?" I'll get to those verses a little bit later on, but first I want to talk about Abraham to cover a specific point. So even though it's been more than a week since then, during our week of counting the cost, in the Saturday devotion, my dad talked about the point of no return. And we know that the point for Abraham was when he began moving the knife in its downward motion toward Isaac when God told him to sacrifice his son, to the point that God knew that he was all in. And he had to send an angel to stop the knife from actually striking his son. Now, like my dad said during that devotion, the point of no return is the way we have to view our situation with the ark and our decision to commit ourselves to it. And just as importantly, that point is a key part of God testing us. Now, this is why we counted the cost. Abraham accounted everything, eventually coming to the conclusion that God can raise up his son back from the dead, which gave him the faith to get to the point of no return. Now, God made us take the time to confirm our faith so that we can recognize everything that we are leaving behind and what we are trusting and believing that God has in store for us, leading us to have nothing but faith going into the point of no return. Now, what does this have to do with God testing us? Well, this is how God is going to see that we aren't going to look back or hang on to anything. God tested Abraham all the way to the point of no return, where everything, including where the knife would end up, was completely in God's hands, and Abraham had no control anymore. He didn't have the choice to hold back anything anymore. That's the point that God is wanting his people to get to in order for him to send back his son. We separate so much that everything that we left behind is impossible for us to get back. And now it's all in God's hands. And we counted the cost of that so that we could come to the conclusion that none of it's ever going to matter when Jesus comes back, because that will take care of everything that we ever need. And that's the only thing that we will focus on. Here I am, Lord. If there was any part of us that held out any hope for something to be different, that there's something or someone that may be salvageable, or if we're trying to come up with a fail-safe or something, visualizing a scenario where what we're doing doesn't work, or anything at all that we can keep in our own control, then we have not gotten to the point of no return, and therefore we failed the test. The point of no return is where we've claimed it has to work. It's everything that we're living for, and nothing else matters. And there's nothing and no one that we once had that is even close to worth being with our Savior. And as for the verses that I read, James said that this testing should make us joyful because it will make us patient. And when we have patient faith, waiting on the Lord, as we love to sing about, our trusting in the fact that our situation is taken care of because God gave us this ark, that'll bring us peace. Now, yes, separation is very hard, as we've said several times, but there's not one example of a separate remnant in the Bible that did not thrive following the testing from God. Now, that's why we should embrace being tested. 2 Corinthians said that we need to examine, or as I said, test ourselves. Keep searching for ways to affirm yourself to God. Now, what does that mean exactly? It means we aren't basing our faith on scenarios where we say, if this happens, I'll do this. I'll give this up, or I'll start doing this. There's no if this happens anymore. No, we're actively making conscious choices on our own to test how separate that we're going to be for God. I mean, just look at how John the Baptist structured his entire life. And it's fitting that that is the spirit that brought Jesus the first time. And we are going to have that spirit again to bring him back this time. Be working to do so every day in your life. God bless you.